Hey, Dr. Anica here, and welcome to our new episode of What Cha Readin'. In this episode, we'll be talking about the book Dying of Whiteness, How the Politics of Racial Resentment is Killing America's Heartland by Jonathan M. Metzl. In this book, Jonathan talks about how policies that were negatively geared toward the poor and Black and brown communities, all under the guise of cutting waste and fraud, actually unintentionally had grave negative effects against the white people it was meant to protect. As always, I've got 3 points that I want to share with you. Point number 1, racism over self-interest. It was stunning to me how throughout this book we saw that people were holding so tightly to this white racial identity and the inherent sense of superiority that they felt with that white identity, that they would actively promote and support policies and procedures that went against their very own health and well-being and self-interest. There's an incredible story that Jonathan tells of this man who has hepatitis C, and he is literally dying from this disease, and being able to get healthcare coverage under the Affordable Care Act would allow him to get the much needed treatment that he was in dire need of. But because he believed that it would somehow benefit undocumented immigrants, he was opposed to this law, opposed to any implementation or expansion of it. And for me, in reading that, I just saw how the poison of racism is so embedded into the fabric of our society that people would rather die than change it. It defies all logic. Point number 2, cognitive dissonance. In the book, Jonathan spent some time talking about suicide rates and the fact that, stunningly, white males are more likely to die by gun violence, particularly through suicide, than any other group in the entire country. And as he talks to friends and families of the deceased, in their musings about why this happened, they'll talk about relationship failures or substance abuse issues. So very few of them were willing to even consider the question of, why the gun? Why was access to the gun made so easy, particularly for someone in so much pain? Or what, if anything, would have been different if the gun was harder to get? But in what I consider a remarkable show of cognitive dissonance, we see people actively divorcing the reality of their loss, from the reality of policies that more likely than not help to put their loved ones at risk. Point number 3, the curse of the individual. Throughout the book, Jonathan interviews varying groups of people, and there was a remarkable observation that he made. When speaking to people of color, particularly Blacks, he found that they often spoke in terms of the collective we. They thought about groups and communities when they considered policies and procedures. Yet when he often spoke to whites, they thought in terms of me, the individual. And it's interesting because as a result of that individualistic thinking, they were often blinded to policies and practices that were dangerous to them, to their loved ones, and to their collective communities. And as a result of that blindness, it left them disempowered and unequipped to push against the very dangers that were putting them at risk. So there you have it, my 3 takeaways from this incredible book. I think you should read it. It is fantastic, it is informative, and at times mind-blowing. So go ahead, grab your copy, and as always, drop a line, send me an email, leave a comment below. Just let me know what you think about this book if you get a chance to read it. Until next time, bye.